Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mr. Ian Teaches English for an in-person lesson. We're going to talk about the difference between direct speech and reported speech. And we have some people here in class who may ask some questions, and we'll answer those too. All right. Let's begin by talking about direct speech. So we're going to use direct speech, and then we'll come over here. We'll talk about indirect speech, which has another name, but we'll start with this because it looks good. Direct speech, indirect speech. Now, direct speech, another word for that is a quote. And this is exactly what someone says. Exactly what someone says. All right, so a quote is exactly what someone says. Or it can be something somebody wrote as well. Exactly what somebody said or exactly what somebody wrote. Okay? Somebody say something. Hi, Mr. Ian. Okay? Hi, Mr. Ian. That's exactly what this person said. And we show that by using these. What are these? No. Closer. Quotation marks. Yes, quotation marks. Quotation marks. Obviously, you have not watched my video on punctuation. All right, these are called quotation marks, and they show that whatever you said is exactly what that person said. Exactly. Okay? Say something else. Somebody. All right, come on. We're filming here. Let's go.
It's raining.
It's raining, okay? And then I think I heard a it's raining. All right, that is exactly what that person said. Okay, because it's exactly what they said, we use, what are these? Quotation marks. Direct speech is pretty simple because you simply copy exactly what the person said, and that's direct speech. The hard part is the punctuation. Okay, so usually we don't use this alone. We'll introduce it by saying, he said something else.
I'm excited.
He said, I'm excited. All right, and actually I'm going to change this because the he now became a she. Now, how do we use punctuation to introduce this direct speech? You know that we use these because that's exactly what they said.
Comma.
Where?
After
said, we use a comma. We also capitalize this first word. We do. We always do. We always capitalize the first word.
Yeah.
This one's easy because it's the word I. And I is always capitalized. But if we changed it to he or she or we, you would also capitalize that. All right. What else? There's one more.
Period.
Where?
After the quotation marks.
No, not after.
After excited.
Yes, before the quotation marks. So I hope you can see this here, that the period is before the quotation mark. Okay, so we use a comma to introduce, quotation mark, capital letter, period or question mark or exclamation point, whatever you need, and then you finish the quote on the outside. Okay?
Yeah.
Give me one more quote so we can practice.
I am happy.
I am happy. Well, you guys,
I am happy today.
these really big sentences today.
I am happy today.
All right, give me another subject because I is already capitalized, so we can practice. Who else is happy?
We are in extra class classes today.
Okay. We are in extra classes today. All right? Hold on. Let me wait for that. All right? She said,
Comma.
comma,
Quotation mark.
quotation mark, capital letter. Now this is, I want to make sure we really clearly see it's a capital. Big W,
Period.
period,
Quotation marks.
and then quotation marks. There you go. You got it.
Yeah.
Easy, right?
Yes.
What was that?
Finish.
4 minutes? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Direct speech.
Finish the class.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. All right. So that's for direct speech. There's one more thing I wanted to say. What is it? Oh, the quotation marks, how they look. This is different in different places, like on your computer, it might be different. We try to make them kind of go inside, like they sort of curve in like this. The computer sometimes messes it up, and maybe we'll do like outside and outside like that. But that's a computer problem. When we're writing, we try to curve them inside. It's possible that they're straight,
Yeah.
but I don't like that as much. I like this better. All right. Questions?
Yeah. She said,
Mm-hmm.
you can do I'm excited. Answer that. Use she said. Add she said.
Yeah. So let's pretend it's at the end and not the front.
Yeah.
Okay. We are in extra classes today. How does the punctuation change?
Comma.
Comma here. Then what else?
Period.
Period. Now why do we change that period to a comma?
Okay. Continue the sentence.
Because we're continuing the sentence. In the original sentence, this is where it ended. It ended here. But in this one, it doesn't end here. It continues to this part. So the period goes at the end of the sentence. The comma here shows the end of the quotation, but doesn't show the end of the sentence. Because that's what we want. We want to use a period to show the end of the sentence, not the quote. Okay?
Okay.
Questions?
No.
All right. You ready to talk about indirect speech?
Yeah. Yes.
So no more questions here? You're good?
Now we're good.
All right. Now, if you see these in books, and you pick up any English book, we use a lot of direct quotes. You'll also notice that every time you use a direct quote, you start a new paragraph. So it's easy in an English book to understand who's talking because every time the speaker changes, we use a new paragraph. It's not that way in every language, which makes it difficult to read. All right, let's talk about indirect speech. Another name for indirect speech is reported speech. Now, it's called reported speech because you are reporting what somebody else said. You heard it, and now you're telling someone else. So for this, we don't use direct quotes. You can, but most of the time when you go home, you talk to your family about your job or English class, you'll say, hey, today in English class, my teacher said, and you'll use an indirect quote or reported speech to do that. All right? Two things that are important to remember when we talk about reported speech are there are two things that change. The pronouns change. Whoops. The pronouns change and the verbs change. So let's take over here. She said, I'm excited. Okay? You go home, you talk to your spouse, your friend, your cat, your dog, and you say, hey, my friend said that. Now this word here, hold on, before we go, I know you're smart people. This one's optional. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it. Okay? But we've got to change the pronouns and we've got to change the verbs. So what's the pronoun here? I. But is I talking?
No.
No. You're talking, but did you say this? No, she said that. So my friend said that. She. Not is, because this was present tense for her, but for you, it's past tense. She said that she was happy. So we use the word that to introduce it, but again, it's optional. We've got to change the pronouns. I becomes she, because we're referring to the woman who spoke. And then am becomes was. With all of these verbs, they're going to go into the past one step. They'll take one step into the past because they already said it. So we've got this here. Quotation marks?
No. Can I say she was excited?
Yeah, actually that's the sentence. So yes, you should say that. You should absolutely accurately describe what she said. There you go. Thank you.
I guess I can say you were excited.
No.
No direct, no es indirect.
No, because when you're talking to your spouse, she said that you were excited. No, we're not talking about your spouse. We're talking, the friend said it. The friend is a girl, so we say she. All right? Quotation marks?
No,
No, why not?
because it's not exactly.
It's not exactly what she said. She said, I'm excited. She did not say she was excited. So because we change it, no quotation marks. All right, give me another sentence. Say something. Say something in the present continuous. I want to show you this. I'm writing, okay? So,
I'm writing in my notebook.
okay, so I'll go home, I'll talk to my wife, and I'll say, my student said that
she
was writing. All right, if you remember the original was I'm writing. And that's true when she says it. But when I repeat it, if I say I, then that's not true. She's not talking about me, she's talking about herself. And herself is a she. All right? She said that she was writing. All right. Let's do one more. Give me another verb tense. Let's be crazy. You can say anything. We can change it.
Miss Terry said.
Miss Terry said. Oh, we're not supposed to use names.
Terry. What?
Oh, I guess they don't know. All right. Terry said.
Terry said that he was a teacher. He was her teacher. His teacher. Not her.
Okay. All right. Terry said that he was her teacher. Yeah, that's good. Now, from this, you can work backwards to create the direct quote. What was the direct quote? Well, we figure out who, when Terry said it, who's he?
You.
I mean, you guys know who. All right. So who's he? So Miss Terry uses the word what? Possibly. All right. But she might just use the word he, because in both perspectives, it's he. When she's talking about it, when you're talking about it, it's still he. Okay. He is my teacher. That is the direct quote. Said Terry. right? That's the direct quote. That's exactly what she said. But again, when you go home and you tell your family, you would change it here. So the he doesn't change because the perspective is the same. But her changes to,
My.
because when she said it,
Yeah.
she said, my teacher. But you're referring to her, you're talking about her, so you say her teacher. So pronouns and verbs, that's what changes. That is a pretty brief introduction of direct speech and reported speech. There's a lot more that we can talk about with direct and reported speech. But if you have questions, you can ask. If not, then I know some of you have to go, so I'll stop the recording. Any questions about this?
In English conversation,
Mhm.
in normal
Yeah.
conversation, I can use
Reported speech is much more common.
yeah.
Direct speech, we usually only use direct speech when it's important exactly what a person says, like in politics or in court or in a contract. We want to know exactly what they said. Most of the time, you're just telling a story. So you just tell the story in reported speech.
In the past.
Yeah, and because it already happened.